Every priest feels privileged when he celebrates the Eucharist, and all of the other sacraments bring you in touch with people at very special moments in their lives. On a community level, obviously you have a role in the community that's unique. There's no 2 days are alike in our profession, and that's something you kind of get used to from day one. But you're there for the people, and I think the basic thing is what we call the ministry of presence. The fact that you're available and you're there when people need you, sickness, death, birth, whatever it may be, you're there for the people. I went to Holy Redeemer School and Aquinas Institute. I think the biggest influence vocation-wise was the fact that I spent a couple summers at Camp Columbus on Owasco Lake, and there were seminarians who ran that. And so that kind of piqued interest in the priesthood, and I didn't feel called to be a bazillion father who taught in a high school. I felt called to priesthood in the more general sense of the diocese. So after high school, I went to Beckett Hall at Fisher College. After that, St. Bernard Seminary. I worked at St. Andrew's weekends. As a deacon my last year of seminary, I worked at St. Thomas the Apostle in Arundecoit, preached every 3 weeks. So the preparation was much different. It wasn't like the old days where you were locked up in a seminary for 8 years and suddenly thrown into the world. I've had a lot of interesting assignments. I started out at St. John's in Greece. It was an assignment of 3 years, but it ended up being 5 because I was supposed to be the third of 3 priests, and within 2 months I was the second of 2. When we reached the end of 3 years, they asked me where I wanted to go. I said I didn't want to go anywhere because it would be unfair to the pastor and to this parish for them to have to start over with somebody new. So they left me there for 2 years. So I went then to Holy Ghost in Coldwater, town of Gates, and then I went for 6 years to St. Patrick's in Seneca Falls. I became a pastor for a couple of years at St. Francis of Assisi in Auburn. I was assistant in Penn Yan, and there was a transition there where that went from a pastor assistant to a co-pastor, so I moved on to Newark. So there 3 years, and then I became administrator in Moravia. And then again, another transition where that became part of a cluster, so I moved back to Greece to Mother of Sorrows, and there for 2 years, the last 2 years before the pastor retired. Then I became pastor of Shortsville for 7 years, and then came here to Holy Name. When you were in church, you took the picture of the signs on the back wall. Holy Name, we are first in the CMA. When I came here, the parish was in debt for $180,000, couldn't pay its bills. It hadn't made the goal in 10 years. Now we've made the goal for 6 years, and the last 3, we were the first in the diocese to make the goal. So it's a question of the parish needed someone who could bring the people together and rally them around, a cause. They knew what I was capable of doing, and that sometimes is what you have to realize, is that the diocese will recognize where your talents can be used and put you there. And maybe it's a place you never thought of. I have 2 other jobs. My responsibilities with the Knights of Columbus are diocesan-wide. I'm chaplain for the chapter, which is an umbrella organization for all of the Knights in the Diocese of Rochester. So all of the councils and all of the assemblies. I also work for the Marriage Tribunal of the Diocese. I have a website about our family genealogy. There's one up in Canada that's in French, and mine is in English, and we link together and share information. And obviously, people who speak English go to mine, and the people who speak French go to theirs. So we go back to Quebec in 1644, and I'm 11th generation. Every 5 years, I go to Rome to celebrate my anniversary. I think that every 5 years, that kind of brings me into contact with the worldwide church, the fact that we are part of a family that goes all over the world, and even including little places like Phelps, Clifton, Shortsville. are all part of a big family, and sometimes we lose sight of that. I'm looking forward to it in the sense that I know some of the people, and they've done a wonderful job of forming a community out of what was 3 communities, okay, and that seems to have gone fairly well from what I've seen. So that's a testimony to the people and to their accepting of their new leadership that they had in Father Curtis, and I hope continuing on with myself.